Welcome to the PhD Journey Unplugged podcast. I am Dr. Marilyn Ward, and this is my colleague, Dr. Sarah Gordon. We are the co-founders of this podcast and recent graduates of Concordia University's Chicago's doctoral program in leadership in health and human performance. We decided to take our experiences, knowledge, and academic training from our doctoral journey and start this podcast, sharing our voices on topics related to wellness, healthy aging, and purposeful living. Dr. Gordon brings to our discussions a background in psychology and research focused on exercise motivation with older adult athletes. She is a freelance writer for Outside Interactive, writing for Triathlete magazine, as well as a published poet, photographer, and multi-sport enthusiast. Dr. Ward is the founder and owner of No Excuses LLC, a leading health and wellness coaching company. With over 25 years of combined experience in wellness, leadership, and motivational coaching, including 6 years of dedicated service in the United States Air Force. She brings her expertise and discipline to her mission. Dr. Ward's research focuses on enhancing the quality of life and increasing longevity in aging adults. We are both passionate advocates for helping others thrive towards better health and value connecting deeply with our audiences. We strive to empower individuals to take a charge of their health, making lasting changes and transform their lives from the inside out. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. All information and opinions expressed in this podcast are for the general purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. Hello, and welcome back to the PhD Journey Unplugged podcast. I am Dr. Marilyn Ward, and this is my colleague, Dr. Sarah Gordon. And as you see, we have another special guest. Dr. Gordon, can you introduce our guest, please?
Absolutely. So first, I just want to talk about today, we're going to talk about how do you love your discipline. Whew. And I thought that was an interesting play on words because for a lot of us, discipline sometimes means maybe not such a positive, it could be hard. And I thought, well, how do we love it? And then how do we bring somebody on our show that personifies it? So, how do we shift our mindset from the grinding the pavement mentality to loving our hard work, to loving our discipline and our focus? And I really, we have pro-triathlete Amy VanTassel on today.
Yay.
And Amy, I really think you personify this way of living life, enjoying life and working hard at it. You don't shy away from the hard work, the hard training. And I love watching your social media presence and your zest for life and adventure. And so we're just so grateful to have you here today. Thank you for taking time to be with Marilyn and me on our podcast. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about your background. I know you're extremely modest and humble, so I appreciate that you shared some of your tremendous achievements. Amy's a professional triathlete. I love how you mentioned offline about being a late bloomer. I think that's amazing. I always call myself that kind of as well.
Same.
And Marilyn and going back to school, getting our doctorates.
Yeah.
You're an ultra distance competitor in endurance running and cycling. You did the Ultraman double Ironman distance. I don't even understand what that is, so you'll have to share with us that when we talk. You've attained a career highlight with an overall win, including the men at the Ultraman Israel in 2018, after you won in Canada in 2017. So please, when we get into our conversation, explain to us what that actually means, and what training looks like for something like that. You've placed in 12 major international half and full Ironman distance events. Pretty incredible. As well as set over a dozen course records in road and trail running races. You're currently coached by Jessie Vrondacek. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Wow. From Top Step Training, who's a professional triathlete. Would love to hear a little bit about her influence in your life. Amy, and I don't know, do most people in your world call you VT?
Yeah, they do.
So, VT, you live in Portland, Oregon, but you mainly race overseas. And we had some questions about that too. We were curious about that. She balances her life as a professional triathlete with off-road cycling, gravel, and trail running events, also capitalizing your master's degree in human development and psychology from Harvard University. Another very impressive accomplishment as you counsel high school students navigating the college application process. So you also you have sponsors, a lot of really cool sponsors, which is impressive. Optic Nerve Eyewear. I remember meeting you down in Cozumel, poolside with some cool eyeglasses on, sunglasses on. So that I specifically remember asking you, what are those? Optic Nerve. Rolf Prima Wheel Systems, Evolution Healthcare and Fitness. I'm not really sure what RNNR accessories, triathlete, triathlon,
Runner hats. Yeah.
Oh,
runner, okay. Coup Cycle, did I say that right?
Mhm.
And the feed. And I can't go through all these highlights. I wish our listeners today could see all these. I mean, you just really have such an accomplished racing career, and you're inspiring, and we're so happy to have you here today.
yes, welcome. This is exciting. All right, so really quickly, our first question is kind of like for all of us, right? I think like, where did it all begin? Where did it all begin for you? The drive for your success as a pro triathlete, as well as your drive for your academic achievements, work, regular life. So just share a little bit about yourself and kind of like, where did it all begin?
That's great. And that's a great segue into something I want to preamble with, which is it's an honor to be with you two who are inspiring because of your drive and everything you did. And the brain power in the Zoom blocks that I'm looking at right now is really impressive. You know, a lot of what you do to get to a PhD is endless hours when you have no choice, right? You can't say, oh, I'm not going to really study or work on my dissertation today. I mean, there's no choice, right? And I think that is so akin to when you have ad nauseum, especially endurance sports training, where you might have just done a huge weekend, huge ride, huge run, and all of the trappings around it. And then I don't know if you two have ever woken up on a Monday and thought, whew, that was a hard weekend. But then you look and you have more training. It just doesn't stop.
So true. It's so true. It's like somebody gave me this metaphor once. It's like you are, let's say, in the World Series and you win a game and you're not done. You got to go back. You got to win another game, right? You just got to keep going for. I mean, it feels great to win, to have a win, but then you got to jump right back in, keep going.
And I think I don't have children, but mothers. I from what I hear, you don't really get a break from that either. And
Well, and it's funny you say mothers because I've had moms that their kids are in like travel ball and and if you keep winning, you keep going. And some of the moms on the side are like, I just wish they would lose. I just wish they would lose so we could get a break and go home. So yeah, it's kind of the other side of that.
I know. And people with, you know, really demanding careers. But again, back to you two, garnering your doctorates and at different stages in life and an impressive academic discipline. Speaking of discipline, super inspirational. So
Thank you.
thank you. That was my, before I answer, appreciation for you two hosting me today. I'm very excited to be here. And we're all on the East Coast. I am in upstate New York right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in the Adirondacks, where you have to triangulate everything for triathletes by races, right? So it's near Ironman Lake Placid.
We were just talking about that.
We're like, how do we make this episode today not about just training questions for you, right? We started this platform when we graduated just to kind of talk about our experiences in the PhD journey. There was a mental toll to it and a physical toll to it, and overcoming obstacles and finding balance and So, but we also on the side love, the whole training aspect of living a physically active life. But
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
with us a little bit about just how, how being a triathlete, being physically active has kind of helped you navigate, life.
Everything. I mean, it's the best. I think back to the late bloomer when I was in graduate school, I went to the pub maybe 6 nights a week, and I thought I should probably complement this this study all the time, go to the pub lifestyle with, so I started to run. I had run casually before, and in Boston you run along the river, and in Boston also when you run people ask you when you're doing the Boston Marathon. Not like, are you going to do a 5K? And not if you are. It's when are you running Boston Marathon? So I thought, okay, I guess I'll do that. And then going from pub to marathon, I had some injuries and started to complement the running with getting in the pool and cycling. And when someone around there learned about that, they said, "Oh, you should do Ironman Lake Placid again. Not try a triathlon, but do an Ironman."
Go for the big one.
Yeah,
Right.
and I did.
That's amazing.
Wow. Oh, so you went right from nothing to the big one. Oh, wow. Kudos.
Pretty much. I built up a little bit, but it was a matter of a year or so.
Right.
And I mean, if you saw pictures, I'm on a steel bike that doesn't fit me, the whole rigmarole. But then to answer your question, Sarah, when you get a taste of that more than casually active lifestyle, you kind of are faced with a question of maintaining it like that, or diving in and committing, and I decided I like this sport and I want to be a triathlete, and then the rest writes itself. And an answer to so many questions that people ask me is so often has to do with having a coach. And the first time I hired a coach, the rest is history, because then you have a program and you're on a program,
Right.
and there's shape to not just having an active lifestyle or exercising. There's shape that makes it your life, right? And all of a sudden every day you have these commitments, just like you have homework or work for your PhD. Every week you do, and there's an arc to every month and every year. And so when I got a coach, talk about the rest is history as well. And now here I am a few decades later.
Yeah, no, but still doing it and still loving it though. So I'm glad you said that a few decades later and you're still like going after it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you still love it. That's good.
And the smile says it all, really.
Right?
It's right.
I mean,
And
you just shine, you shine from the inside out. And it's a beautiful thing to see people that love what they're doing and passionate about life. And, it's great.
I don't think I've ever met an athlete, triathlete or right athlete that didn't have a smile or because I think one, it is something we enjoy and we love, but it's the release of the endorphins, right? It's the neurotransmitters that are like on fire and giving us all that, feel goods. Because I don't think I guess if we all ran around like mad and, distraught all the time, nobody would want to do the race, right?
That's true. When I started to get a little bit more success, and that led to over a decade ago, qualifying for Kona as an age grouper. I did, Marilyn, actually find that some of the athletes with whom I was rubbing shoulders kind of peer to peer, trying to get to Kona, it did start to feel antisocial at that point. And I felt that some people were missing the joy because they leapt from this being a lifestyle that could have enjoyment to there being an outcome goal. And yes or no outcome goal. Do I make it to Kona or not? And then jumping to the professional level, the ones at the very top, they have an outcome goal as well. Some of them feel pressure to be number one, and many of them feel pressure to be number 1 through 5. And so that's when I do start to see smiles disappear, but those are also amazing people. So I think a lot of it depends on goals. And I think I can retain a smile because I don't have very lofty goals.
But that's interesting.
Last week we talked about choosing your hard, right? So when we chose to go get our doctorates, like we made that decision to put ourselves in that.
Right. Yeah.
And so when you start to fight it and start to hate it, you need to just reflect a little bit and say, okay, well, wait a second. I want to be here. This is where I want to be. And yeah, it's going to be hard, but it was my decision. So I think to what you're saying is like you choose to have this lifestyle,
Yeah.
and you should always remember to have some joy in it. But I understand the pressure you're talking about and how to try to balance that when you get to these top levels.
All right. So while
Go ahead,
you have something there,
sorry, I did say I wasn't going to talk too much today.
No, I feel like this kind of goes into our resilience question about if we're trying to keep a smile on our face. So have you ever had a setback or a tough loss? And then how did you recover from that, like mentally, emotionally? And what would you say to others who may be experiencing a setback?
That is a great question. I think it's the most potent one. And I wish I could ask you and everyone that and just aggregate all of the data. And because it's just so powerful because I was, when you two asked me for a little quote, I was thinking of one of my favorite things is suggesting to people that, especially in triathlon, there's so many variables. There's swimming, biking, running, transitions, nutrition, gear, all of it, that a perfect race is virtually unattainable. It's the exception, not the norm. And I see a lot of posts from triathletes who didn't have a perfect day saying, my race didn't go as planned. And I always laugh to myself because yes, it went as planned. You just didn't plan for the setback.
Right.
Was the plan to have a perfect day, your best swim, your best run? So many athletes think that their best Ironman should be the combination of their best swim, it doesn't work like that. And so with setbacks, I believe when I started to expect them, both in a granular way, in a race, setback, flat tire, out of the water and well over slower than you thought, GI, something like that. Expecting them changed everything for me. I'm kind of like, bring it on. When the first setback happens, I have a plan. And just, relishing the fact that you have a plan. And I swear I'm getting to the answer because I've been able to extrapolate that to big picture. Like, okay, you might have a year setback. So, athletes, torn ACL or a fracture, or they need a new baby, and so when I, again, extrapolated that expectation of a setback, it really helped. And I think that my biggest obstacle I faced was a little vague. It's hard to kind of define, but it was basically just a stretch of a year or two where I was finding kind of no real success. And the big question was there, especially since I'm older, should I just retire? I think you don't retire unless you have an illustrative career, but should I just quit? And so my biggest setback was after a bunch of middling races, do I call it? Or do I just keep getting back on the proverbial horse? And I think you know the answer. Spoiler, I just kept getting back on the proverbial horse. And
But Amy, can I ask you one sec? What was it that made you do that? I'm just so curious. Like, what drives somebody not to give up? I mean, I can have my own answer, but I'm curious of your answer.
I think that this might relate to maybe what is the theme or thrust of this whole pod today, which is I decided to find an event or two that were purely enjoyable despite the outcome. And that included two things. One, changing it up, gravel racing, long distance trail running, local 10K, a swimming race, very scary. And that kind of judged the routine and kind of put a fire back in me that I was wanted to translate back to race day. And then also something that might answer another forthcoming question, which is I decided at one point, the same point, I'm not going to race any location that is not thrilling to me, exciting.
I love that. I love that.
I'm very lucky. I know it must be like, I'm only going to travel abroad all the time on my cruise ship. Like, why?
No, but like you said, our title of our episode today is Love or Loving Your Discipline. You, instead of like letting it just where beat you down a little bit, you found that spark again in it. And we always talk about finding your sparkle.
Yeah.
And so you went and you found it. And we also always say the key to success is being adaptable.
Yeah.
Right?
Those two things.
So I love that. I think that's beautiful. That sounds corny, but I love that.
No,
I love
it is
your but I still am curious because I wonder how many people can do that and if there's still something within you. Because Marilyn and I always, researchers, we're always trying to figure out like what motivates people to be you, right? And it's just curious, like, do you think you're, life experiences or you're wired that way or, where does it come from? You have to think deeper.
I've become friendly. I gained wonderful friends who are also professional triathletes who performed at a much higher level than I have. Household names. If I said three of them, you would recognize their names. And they all started later than I did as a professional and retired before I did. So I lapped them. And when they retired, my heart was broken. I thought they were still kind of on top. And I asked, like, why are you leaving now? And they said, it was no question. I lost the spark. I just did not want to do it anymore. Doesn't matter if I was still making money. They just knew. And when that day comes, I won't push it, but it just hasn't come. And I really think it's because of the geography thing. I mean, I've one year I was like, okay, I need an Ironman here. Malaysia. Never been to Malaysia. Amazing. I just went to Abu Dhabi with Challenge.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even care. And my friend and I went and we felt undertrained or a little bit underprepared. And we thought, it doesn't matter. This is going to be so much fun. And it was so distracting and so enjoyable. And then you kind of accidentally do well here and there and it writes itself. But one of those other pros, I learned this from her. Her coach wanted her to do Texas yet again. And she had done Texas a lot. He said, it's the best course for you. And she had this meltdown. She said, I don't want to go to Texas. And she went to one of the Nordic countries instead, Ironman, and won it. And had so much, she went in relaxed. It wasn't like the same Marriott hotel and the same exact 5 pros she raced against in this place she wasn't excited about. Sorry, Woodlands, Texas. I don't know.
I love it because I think we always say, enjoy the journey, right? We have to enjoy the journey. When I'm coaching runners, I'm like, don't forget. I mean, I know when we're racing on race day, you're like,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Me too. My sister and I used to meet up in a different city and state and run, and it was always had to be somewhere fun. And I was like, but we got to learn to enjoy the journey. We were not placing. We knew that. We didn't care. So I wouldn't as much as stop and take pictures, but I'm like, just look around and enjoy. And I was just talking with Sarah beforehand. I was like, well, I wonder why she picks a lot of these overseas places, but you answered it. Like, because I'm thinking, okay, now that makes sense. I would too, right? Like if I'm going to go somewhere, like we used to say, well, we want to go here to do a race, but also vacation.
Totally.
So why not?
Always.
And it does make it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And when, I don't know if you and your sister experienced this, but I end up surprising myself with performance when I'm relaxed and excited and happy. If
Oh,
it's,
I don't know if I ever did that, but I mean, I was still not, I don't know. I mean, we always looked, we didn't do bad. We didn't do poor.
yeah,
You know, we did not score terrible. We were the last coming through, but we definitely, it was more enjoyable for sure.
yeah,
Well, it
right.
comes back to loving your discipline, right? So we're
Yeah.
not trying to say to our listeners, if you're working on your doctorate or you're in medical school or you're going towards an Ironman or whatever goal you're going towards today in your life, we're not saying it's always going to be an easy journey.
Right.
What you're hearing Amy say, and what we've heard other people say, and we've heard it in our research, when you love something, when you enjoy it, when you're having fun with it, you're most likely going to stick with it. You know, the research
Yeah,
even shows that long-term adherence to physical activity usually happens when you enjoy what you're doing. And you said it, Amy, when you lose your sparkle, I mean, when you really lose the sparkle,
yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
if you
yeah, yeah,
lose it for a short period of time, or like you said, it could even be a year,
yeah,
you know, you find it again. But when you get to this point where you really aren't having fun with it
yeah,
anymore and it becomes a chore, you know, then you learn to pivot and you learn to adapt and you learn
yeah,
to make the changes that you need in your life. So I love your story and your perspective on it all. Um, so I'm curious. Well, I guess of all the places you've traveled, because you love to travel, you love to see new places. Well, maybe you said it, maybe Malaysia, but is there something else that stands out in or Abu Dhabi?
yeah.
I don't even know how to, it's terrible. I don't even know how to say that. Anything else that stands out in your mind that really, you know, impacted you? And also, the second part of that question, not to bombard you, is being a female, when you go to some of these places, Marilyn and I were curious about how that feels to be a female pro
Yeah,
triathlete
yeah.
or just a female athlete.
Yeah, it does make a difference in some of those places. I love when people ask me what's your favorite place you went, because I often say, oh, this one, oh, and also this one, oh, and also this one, oh, Thailand, oh, also the Philippines, oh, but even France, I love France. Well, obviously Israel, oh, but I just went to Abu Dhabi, that was wild. And then I think Malaysia was certainly a highlight. I personally love danger. No, I do. I love to learn. This sounds so hokey, but I love to kind of imbibe the culture alongside my race journey, my traveling. And so kind of the more exotic and surprising, the more exciting to me, even if there's a little danger or unknown and you have to learn about this and that. You know, Philippines, you show up and you can't ride on those roads at all. There's no riding your bicycle on any road. It's so, those are crazy roads. But learning as you go, and it being eye-opening also reminds you that the rest of the world is not like the US, where triathletes in particular might complain that there's a little pebble in the road, and you want to be like, try riding your bike in
Yeah.
Thailand with this tuk-tuk coming out in these red steep roads and it's 120 degrees. There is my favorite place that I have been has been this training center in Phuket, Thailand. There, you guys should go. There's, I think, 4 swimming pools, beautiful dormitories for athletes. It's also a tennis center, a track, wonderful road riding, a gym, a medical center for athletes. It's like this little paradise in the middle of Phuket, and the whole little island is really cool for training. But to coincide your question about traveling as a female and some of these places, I think my best anecdote would be from going to Israel. It was pretty wild and different there. I knew there'd be considerations. And in Tel Aviv, the big city, and Haifa, a cool little city, not a problem. Culture and gender and being not conservative, but but out in, you know, Golan
Jerusalem.
Heights, yeah, Jerusalem, talk about that. But even the endurance sports culture, which it's
Interesting.
one thing you go out into the sticks of Mexico and see all this, or I went out to Machu Picchu after Peru 70.3, and of course the culture is wildly different. But in Israel, the triathlete culture was wildly different and rampantly masculine dominated, rampantly, to the point where it was Ultraman, which really quickly, I'll
Oh,
just
right.
say
What is Ultraman?
it's a double Ironman over 3 days.
Wow.
So you have a crew and you swim 10K first day, ride along, I don't know how long. Second day, you ride very long. I don't remember the kilometers, but it's around 10 hours for me. And then the last day is just running, but it's usually well over a double marathon, and it's usually hilly. So it's gnarly and it's just different. You just zone to it, you know, but big event. And it was a major event, and they had planned for a prize purse and awards for men only. The whole event. They allowed women to race. Doesn't this feel like early 1900s or something?
Wow.
And so I was permitted to race. I was actually kind of brought over by the tourism industry. But in the end, I ended up winning overall. And at the award ceremony, the man who would have won was literally pouting and sneering at me. And so I got the check. The men were not happy about that. But then this is where the story ends. Is also there were all these prizes, including you could get some free hokas if you go into the store. And I went into the hoka store saying, "Hey, I won this race. I get these free shoes." And they were like, "No, he literally said, this prize is for the man who wins the race." And I was like, well, I won.
Well, let me ask you something with that experience. Do you feel like you have now, looking back, like, do you feel like you can be like a role model for women in it, you know, or like leading us towards more
Breaking barriers?
inclusivity, breaking barriers? Like, do you
Well,
see your role in that
I
way?
won't say I'm gonna go and change the world single-handedly, but I do have something to say about that.
Okay.
I believe that when triathletes go and race somewhere that is a much different culture, and there are socioeconomic differences, big time. If there's an event over there, I think we should do something while we're there. I don't know if that means the race company. I don't know if that means every triathlete individually. But if you think about the awkwardness of triathletes are affluent, right? Of all of these affluent people descending on maybe a third world nation. And I mean, I did this race where children are out naked or in burlap and who live in hovels, and they're on the side like banging pans. And I just think I wish we could bring money and just like throw it out or something.
Right.
Not money,
But I love that passion with purpose. So, you know, how do we bring something that's of value to these areas? Maybe you bring water systems, maybe you
that's
bring
great.
education, maybe you bring
Something.
something. I think that's great.
Why don't we capitalize? I don't know how. And but why don't we capitalize on 2,000 affluent people traveling to these places and then going home? And one answer could be for the race companies to furnish something formal. For instance, Challenge, my favorite by far race organization, the Challenge Family Races. A couple of races I went to, they had the pros go and do something, like speak at schools, little community service, show up here or there. And a couple of pros were kind of like, oh, well, I needed to train or fix, like prep for the race. And it's kind of like, no, we're doing this. And I was so proud of Challenge for thinking about that and finding those connections. I think maybe there should be more of that So cool.
I
Like
agree
even
with
at the
you.
end, right? At the end.
Even at the end, day
Yeah.
after.
I agree with you. And we talk about love your discipline. Well, what about just spreading love? When you go to these places through, there's different ways to do that. I just finished a book. It's called The Surfer and the Sage. And it's Sean Thompson, who was a world famous surfer, champion. He wrote this incredible book, and he's in a different, world in the surfing world. And I had seen him at a motivational event a couple weeks ago, and I bought his book. But the whole book is about doing exactly what you're saying, figuring out like, yeah, we're on our personal journeys, but how do we give back to the communities and to other people and just spread this wave of
Yeah.
positivity and just, joy and you're right. Triathlon isn't I mean, you have to have some resources to do it. The
Right.
equipment's expensive, travel is expensive. So maybe there's a way for these, event organizers to give back,
Like,
it has to be something more collective than just our own personal journey. So I love that. I love that
right.
you're, focusing on that.
I agree. And I think that as a hosting country, like if you're hosting, that's great, but it's you sharing knowledge with them after, or you doing something after.
Yeah.
That's what's going to live with them forever. And it's going to live with those young kids. Remember when so-and-so was here? And that's the stuff that for generations will be everlasting. And that's, we could leave our mark in so many places with just a small bit of love and hope and giving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So
Exactly.
It's so true, Marilyn. You're so
True.
spot on because, we all have these personal dreams and goals and things that we go after in our life, right? But if it was just singular, let's just say our PhD journey. If it was just singular and it was just about us getting that degree, look, we wouldn't be on this podcast right now. And we wouldn't be on it with Amy because Amy and I met in an airport and just
Mhm.
had a conversation, and I always love that Steve Jobs says, what he did say, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can connect them looking back, right? So who would have known the day
Right.
our paths crossed,
Yeah.
we'd be sitting here now. And it's just about the collective experience, in life. And so, Amy, you're doing it out there through your, being a champion and working hard at what you do and spreading love and joy out in the universe. And Marilyn, we're trying here on this
Inspiration.
podcast.
Yeah.
Like it's
Um,
just very inspirational to see. I'm glad that you call yourself a late bloomer.
yeah.
You set in your age. We're the same age. So it's just, and this is where I think women going through a transition in life, 40s to 50s, 50s is, we always hit this. We're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to turn 50
Yeah.
in a couple weeks.
Tell me about it.
All
But
right, girls, easy.
right, yeah.
I'm good, approaching 60.
but right, but it's like here we are. We're not like, well, I'm 50 and I'm gonna, roll over, whatever. No, we are out there doing it, still wanting it, and we're not alone. And that's, I don't know if that's a woman thing or if that's a woman hitting another transition in life.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not over yet. We're not dead yet, and I'm gonna conquer as many things as I can in the time that I have. And so watching your story, and I always think I'm doing pretty good. And then I look at your resume and I'm like,
Right.
holy moly. But it's amazing because no matter where we are and all that, we're all at a little different level. It's all inspiring.
Yeah.
So, so your story is amazing. So glad we got to meet on this podcast. And I know it's going to be, get a lot of attention just for other women seeing what they can do in our age.
Mhm.
Like we're young. Who said 50 has to be old, right?
No, you're never too old to learn. You're never too old to
Yeah.
grow. Um, it's really about mindset. We talk about it. We've talked about it a lot on our episodes. It's
Yeah.
about having a growth mindset. It's
Mhm.
about when hard things, cross your path because life, that's just the way. I mean, Amy, I asked you for a quote. You mentioned it earlier about like, you plan for everything, right? You got the type A personality, you got everything planned for the race, except the truth is you can never fully plan for life, right? And I asked you for a quote, and I love your quote. Races and life never go as planned, which is as planned. And it's brilliant because I remember going down to Cozumel for that. That was my first, half Ironman. I remember we had all these planning meetings and we studied the athlete guide and we had just studied ad nauseum, to get ready to go. And I remember saying to myself, okay, this is great, but I really don't know what's going to happen on race day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson for life is we have to be flexible, whether you're working on your doctorate, wherever you are in your journey today, to our listeners, you have to have some grace and understanding that, things happen and don't give up and be flexible
Yeah.
and keep smiling and love your discipline, right?
Yes.
So, well,
Yay. I
we
love
always
that. The little thumbs up.
we always kind of like, wait a second, how do we do that so fast?
I know.
Um, Is there anything else you guys want to share and just anything, just
Yeah.
whatever comes to mind?
Amy, tell us something fun.
Amy,
Tell us
tell
what
us
you're doing
something
next.
fun.
Yeah. What's next for you?
What do you eat? I'm just
Something fun.
kidding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, peanut butter. Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to probably the hardest name to pronounce or face down is my coach, and it's a he. Jesse Vrondacek makes my world go round, and this parlays to what I'm gonna say is he's always having talk about adapt to the changes. I'm always throwing bombs on him. He sets up these plans never far ahead with me. And then I'll say, I'm doing a 200-mile gravel race, or I'm actually going to Brazil next week. And he's always rolling with the punches and he adapts my plan very specifically. So I just wanted to shout out to that amazing coach. He's the best. And next, I am, speaking of my favorite race event company, I'm doing a challenge event in a week and 2 days in Brazil. Challenge Fortaleza in Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a half distance and I'm excited.
Because we were going to ask you what was next for you.
That's it.
Yeah.
So what do you like? What do you do preparing to travel? Do you prepare a lot, or are you a little bit? Are you so comfortable with it? You just like,
Kind
what does
of
it look like?
Kind of both. I have a very extensive spreadsheet system that it reads gravel bike flying, gravel bike race not flying, plus camping, travel, triathlon overseas. And I always adhere to that. A really easy bike packing system. That's made all the difference. And I try to accrue miles on my favorite airline. And so I'm pretty travel's like kind of my happy space. So I'm excited to fly down there. I fly down on Tuesday. It'll be great.
That's amazing. We'd love to hear how it goes.
All
We're
right.
going to be cheering for
Yeah.
you over there. And that's interesting. You just added one little thought about all this. You're very organized with spreadsheets and what I just think that's interesting.
Especially for me, I think some people think as you know, I'm pretty extroverted and I'm always kind of out there. But I love spreadsheets and lists.
That's funny.
So that's a
I
strategy.
spend a lot of time in them.
Yeah, that is a
It's a
good
good
strategy.
strategy. We usually try to talk about some strategies. It's not so much when we have guests on the show, but it's just Marilyn and me. But I think lists are really important, especially when you travel. I just have to say, I saw on social media you were on something that looked like it was flying above the water. What was that?
Okay.
Share with us before we.
Also relevant because part again with the theme. I mean, the thesis, to speak in your academic vernacular, is clear in this episode, right? It's kind of keeping the spice and enjoyment attached to this discipline. I could never just swim, bike, and run, pool, road, and road. That would take the spice out of it a long time ago. And so I'm always changing it up and finding maybe new pursuits that can coexist with triathlon training. I'm moving to Hood River, Oregon, which is pretty much the wind capital of the US. And there's a sport called wing foiling, where you stand on a board and with a kite or sail, and it levitates because there's foils and a mast underneath. It's all the rage in Hood River, Oregon, and Baja California. But it's a great way to spend a lot more money on a new pursuit.
Yes.
Well, I have to tell you, I saw a picture of you doing that. I was like, and now Amy's flying above the water.
All right. So you have a social media account or presence. So can you share? Is that something you would share with
People want
everybody?
to follow your journey as an athlete too.
Absolutely. My favorite is Instagram. You know, I
Okay.
dabble in all the others, and Strava is getting a little more social these days, huh? But nothing is as powerful. Instagram is always where I start, and a couple of my sponsors like the feed. That's their kind of home base that Venn diagrams it all. So Instagram's easy because it's Amy VanTassel. But it's so great to see you guys there and everyone. I mean, it's social media is great.
I think I do love it. I've got some friends that, really stick away. And I was like, no, first of all, when Facebook came out, I loved it. So I was like, that's how I could keep up with my family.
Yeah.
They're all from Michigan. I'm,
Totally.
now living here and I was in military and being abroad.
Yeah.
So I loved it. And now the rest are doing the same. So I love it and I use it. And so I'm going to start following you.
Awesome.
I'm just going to finish up. I went into ChatGPT. I was just curious to say, tell me what you think love your discipline means. So this is the quote, which is, I think it's really a good quote. Discipline isn't the enemy of freedom. It's the path to becoming who you choose to be. Love your discipline and it will love you back. And I was like, okay, I don't know who said it, how I came up with that, but I thought, okay, we're just starting to understand AI, and how to use it as a tool and whatnot. And I love that. Love your discipline and it will love you back. So
Fascinating.
Perfect.
there we go.
I think you should end with that. I know I always try to find something, but I think you hit it with this today.
Agreed.
Well, Amy, we're so grateful that you came on to talk to Marilyn and me, and we wish you all the best as you head to Brazil. We would love to maybe have you back sometime in the future just to see where you are with your adventures and your journey, and and keep being yourself out there. And the universe needs your light, so we're grateful to have you.
Very inspiring. Thank you so much for being on.
All right, Marilyn.
All right, everybody, much love. We will see you all next week.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.